Hi, my name is Roy Adams, Chartered Financial Planner and founder of CashCalc. Today I'm just going to do a short video where I'm going to go through the onboarding of a new client in CashCalc, where you invite the client to your portal, which is branded with your company logo and company name and company colors. Hopefully you'll find it useful, but let's have a look. So as you can see, we're now on the home page, top left-hand button, add a new client. Fairly simple. Let's add a brand new client rather than doing the drop down of import from your back office. We don't know the client's date of birth, so it's just going to let the system default to 1st of January 72. And as you can see, the option was to either add a button there, but I went for more options because I already know there's a male and female and what currency we're using. And because I've got the email address, I'm going to enter it at this point, and I'm going to enter the mobile phone at this point. But I could have done that at a different part of the journey. So having now entered the client into CashCalc, we then sit on the dashboard for the client. And right in the center, there's Invite to Client Portal. We're into the Onboard and Manage section. Nice big pink button, Invite to Portal. Now the next screen, as you can see, the default is email via CashCalc because we've pre-prepared an email for you. Or you can see there's an option to send myself by copying a link. So if you have a standard email you prefer to send with your own company font and colors, that's fine. But we'll show you now the standard email within CashCalc, and as you can see, it's got your logo on it anyway. It's a very simple message. It mentions the word secure 4 times to reassure your client this is bank level security. And you can just literally follow through, fairly simple. In this particular case, I'm going to show you an example that you could either send the client a base fact find, or you can go and gate some of the sections. If you know the client wants to talk about pensions or investments or just a mortgage, you can gate and say, well, I don't want all sections filled in. Entirely up to you, easily customizable. Also, if you want to then send your disclosure documents, and you can pre-save these into your system, so you haven't got to search a folder and attach them, they're always there ready. Or you can, if you want to, send a specific document and just click on the link to search your folders on your laptop or your PC. I'm also going to show you a quick example of how you can send the client a specific link if you want to. That could be a link to a digital signature, an external one. Could be a link to a Dropbox folder or something similar. I'm just showing you an example of just linking it to a website. But what you can see is that our system is already checking that you've typed the correct URL link because it's saying it's a valid one, just in case you missed a dot between .co and .uk or something of that nature. And we don't want you to send a link to the client which is broken. So we're automatically checking that for you to make sure it works. And at the same time as sending the link, you could put a message in there as well. Now in this case, we're going to request that they do an anti-money laundering check. You can select one or both clients. So what I'm going to show you on the screen recording now is what the client will see when they click on the link. And the first thing they will see is your logo and inviting them into your portal with the client. And as you can see, this is where the client will enter their PIN, which they've just received via their mobile phone, which has been automatically generated by CashCalc. As soon as the client puts the PIN in, they're then invited on the next page to create their own password. So instead of us giving them a password and then letting them change it, right from the start, we allow them to just create a password of their choice. And again, it's only a small point, but for me, I get really annoyed when I type a password and the system just says unacceptable. So we're saying straight away, look, it needs to be 8 characters long, and these are the nuances we need within the password for it to be acceptable. And as the client puts one of those in there, for example, a capital letter, then that grays that section out. So the client knows that they've now created an acceptable password. And then the final one is the passwords both match. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put ourselves in the position of your client and understand how frustrating it can be setting up lots of passwords. We're trying to make life easy for them. Because don't forget, this is you dealing with your client. So the client thinks you've done this to make life easy for them. Once the clients then put their PIN number in, created their password, they're then into their side of the portal where they will see what you've requested they do. So as we showed you earlier, you've put the disclosure documents available for the client. And the first thing there is the fee agreement and privacy notices that they can view and agree. In this particular case, we've added a welcome brochure as well, which covers all of that. And as you can see, there's the option to digitally accept this or decline it. Now, in this case, the client digitally accepted it. So the next thing the client can do is to do an anti-money laundering check. Now, I would suggest you actually tell the client to expect this ahead of the meeting rather than for them to think, what's all of this? So if you explain to them you're going to send them a digital link to do anti-money laundering checks. We don't do that within CashCalc, but we've partnered with a great company called Credas, and this is what your client would see going through anti-money laundering verification with Credas. Don't propose to take you all the way through that process because that's subject of a different video, but just to give you an idea of what the client will see. If you remember earlier, I also said you can share links with the client, and that's where the client would then be able to just click on your link directly to what you want them to see. And a really good example of that is linking them straight across to an attitude to risk questionnaire with your chosen provider. As you can see there, we're still on the client side of the portal, and you can see the client can then send you a document depending on what secure messages you've sent to them. For example, ask the client to send you a copy of their bank statement so you can confirm their sort code and account number or whatever document you've had. So there's none of this using snail mail. Literally, the client can just upload it directly to the portal and then you can view it. And if you need to keep a compliance copy of it, download it at your end to your secure server. So let's go and have a look at the fact find then. I'm not going to go into the entire fact find, but I'll just give you a few snippets just so you can show the dynamic, responsive design of the fact find. So let's just have a look at the address. Now, for me, my view is you should never ask yourself or the client to type a full address in. Nowadays, you should just put a postcode in and you should then do a postcode lookup. And that's exactly what we do. And we use an API and bring that postcode lookup in from Royal Mail. But of course, what we then do at the same time is that we simultaneously do another API with Land Registry to see when the person bought that property and therefore moved into it. And that's why you can see there that the date moved in has already been completed based on the API. What you'll see later on is that at the same time as doing that API with Land Registry about when they moved in, we also see what the acquisition cost was. So we can pre-complete an asset section where we add the house as an asset, when they acquired the asset, and what the acquisition cost was. We also do another API at the same time with our company, which acts similar to Zoopla, and it brings in its estimated current value in the same way that Zoopla would. And it only gives you an estimate based on the postcode, and if you've got 4 big houses next to 10 small houses in the same postcode, you could be skewed, but it gives a reasonably accurate estimate of what the property should be worth. And this is not just for residential houses. This could apply to anything in Land Registry, so buy-to-lets and commercial property. The next thing you can see, I'm going to just jump over to national insurance number. And the only reason I'm demonstrating NI number to you is that I'm a financial advisor, and probably I'm human as well, in that I try and do as little work as possible or as necessary in the circumstances. So if I don't think I need the national insurance number, you might not even ask it. But of course, you may need it at subsequent reviews in the future. And it's amazing, because we're asking the client to fill in the fact find, if there's a box there, they'll fill it in. You generally get the national insurance completed for the client and their partner ahead of the meeting. And what you could see as they were filling that in, as a test, we deliberately ended the national insurance number with a G, and you can see the box has been surrounded with an orange color, just flagging that something's not right. We don't want to put a computer says no, stop to the client, but we just want to flag something's not right. And as you guys probably know, A national insurance number has to be 2 letters followed by 6 digits, followed by a letter which has to be A, B, C, or D. So I deliberately put that in wrong so you could see it's just flagging an incorrect format. The client could carry on, but you can just see that something's not right. I'll skip forward now to the health and protection section, where you can see we default the client's a non-smoker, but if they say I am a smoker, then it dynamically responds and asks more questions. What do you smoke? How many do you smoke a day? This is much better than posting a 58-page blank paper fact find out, of which 30 of the pages are not relevant, but you'd then be forcing your client to look at that paper, read the page, and then strike through it because it's not relevant. We're already dynamically responding and saying this is not relevant. What we want to do here, bearing in mind this is being done by your client, they're completing your fact find. What we want to do is not annoy the client, because I already said to you at the start of this talk on the fact find that I hate typing full addresses in. Modern day technology should be making life easier for me. So the first thing is we don't want to annoy your client. We want to make life easier for them. And in fact, actually what I want to do is help to delight your client on your behalf. So as the client is working through the fact find, because things are pre-completed, ready for them, then they suddenly have a smile on their face thinking, wow, this is good. And bear in mind, they're thinking you're good then because it's your fact find branded with your company name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip through to the end of the fact find now. Bear in mind, again, this is the client completing it. And as you can see, there's an option for the client to review it at the end and actually press a button saying send to advisor. And as you can see, the client can actually print a copy for themselves, and they can print a copy of the open banking snapshot if they've chosen to do the open banking link. And at the point they click send to advisor, an instantaneous, simultaneous notification will land in your inbox telling you your client has just completed their fact find. So if you're sat there working, it'll ping up that your client's completed it. And how cool is that feeling to sit there and think, wow, a client is doing some work whilst I'm working on something else. And when you look at it, that notification says the client has completed the fact find and is ready for review. And you can now go in and look at the hard facts that the client has completed. And you can then say, yes, let's save that to the system. And then you've got the option of doing whatever you want to do with that fact find. You can push it to one of the calculators, such as the cash flow tool. But for the moment, because I went to the trouble of demonstrating you national insurance number, why don't we just say, well, let's do a letter of authority? Because again, as an advisor, I think letters of authority in the UK financial services industry is broken. And I'm just trying to make that a little bit better for you. If we've already got the client's name, address, date of birth, national insurance number, and we know your details, your company name, your company FCA number, etc., why don't we do, for a better word, a mail merge and produce a blank or pre-completed letter of authority with your details, client's details, and the pension or investment on there. And this is just showing you on screen how easy it is to generate one of those letters of authority, pre-completed, ready with your client's data. And all you need to do then with that letter of authority, if the client is already coming in to see you, just print off a copy and they can wet sign it. If actually the client is not planning on coming in, you can just save that PDF document to your secure server and then do a document exchange through the portal and just send the document via your portal to the client and put a little note on there saying, please can you print this off, wet sign it, and actually save it back to the client side of the portal. And as I said to you earlier, I think letters of authority in the UK are broken at the moment. We need lots of providers on board, and there's 68 providers out there at last count. It's a mammoth task getting them all on board. So in the short term, there's an outsourced power plan around the country, and she's put together an LOA document which tells you what all of those 68 providers require, whether they're happy for DocuSign, whether they're happy for something to have been wet signed and then scanned, or whether they need you to fax a copy in. And there are 2 providers that still require a fax. So you can just click on the link. I've put a link directly to Debbie's website on here. I think it's a great resource for you guys. And you can actually have a look. If, for example, if it's an Aviva pension, you can quickly look and see what Aviva's requirements are. And if they accept a scanned copy of a wet signature, it'll show you that, and it'll even tell you where you can email that letter of authority in. So you could get to the stage where we've not quite cracked LOAs, but you've got the client completed their end, you've generated a fact find, you've exchanged it in document exchange, the client has printed it their end and signed it, uploaded it back, you've emailed it to Aviva, and you've got authority to get information on that client's policy. It's not perfect, but we're trying to make the current situation as best we can. So once you've checked the fact find and you're happy with it, you've applied your advisor common sense, and you can see they haven't done some simple mistakes such as put in 50 grand a month as their earnings rather than 50 grand a year. You can then save that and you can push that to one of your calculators or the cash flow if you want to. And that, in a nutshell, guys, is how to digitally engage with your client, digitally onboard them, get the client to do most of the work. You then cast your professional eye over them, and then you can start doing your analysis or planning with the client. I hope you found that useful. Hopefully you found it simple to use as well. But if you still do have any questions, feel free to have a look at the other videos on CashCalc TV. There may well be one there perfectly suited to what you're looking at. But if you can't find the answers within CashCalc TV, just drop us an email or give us a ring at CashCalc. We'd be delighted to help you. Thanks very much for your support, guys, and good luck with business.